Hey guys, how's it going? In this session, I want to teach you how to create the first application in the Django. If you remember, in the last session, we learned how to install Django requirements and we learned how to create a virtual environment for our project. And finally, we ran the server for the first time. So let's continue the lesson. Before we start coding, I want to talk about some Python files in our project. Inside the bookstore directory, there are some Python files. The first file is init.py. As you see, this is a blank Python file. Look at its name. It's a special name. Let Python know that this directory can be treated as a package. So it's an important file for our project. The next important file is settings.py. In here, you will store all your project settings. I'm going to talk about it in detail later. The next file is urls.py. This is where you will store the URL patterns for your project. About wsgi.py and asgi.py, I can say this file play a vital role when you want to deploy your Django application. Finally, there is a Python file called manage.py. This file will be used a lot. Actually, it will be associated with many commands we use. If you remember, in the last session, we used this file for running the server. When we run the command, we should make sure we are in the right direction. Look at this. If I collapse the folder, this folder is the name of folder that we have created on the desktop, and this bookstore directory is the name of our project directory, and manage.py is inside this directory. So if I want to run the command, open the new terminal, and we should go to bookstore directory. This bookstore is the name of folder on the desktop. So cd bookstore, and here's where I'm gonna call that actual command. I will say python manage.py and write the command, for example, run server. The server has run correctly, but there is a warning in red color. Actually, it tells you you have some unapplied migrations. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. So let's go to create the first application. You know, a Django project is a collection of applications and configurations that when combined together will make up the full web application. And a Django application is created to perform a particular functionality for your entire web application. For example, you could have a registration Django application, a login Django application, comment Django application, and etc. Alright, for creating Django application, we should use a start app command. So the first, I'm gonna go to the right direction, cd bookstore, and python manage.py, and call a start app, and then whatever you want to call your app. In here, I'm gonna say book app. As you see, created the book app inside our project. As you see, in here, we have some Python files as well. The first file is init.py. This file is the same with the init.py in our project directory. This file lets Python know that book app directory can be treated as a package. The next file is admin.py. In here, you can register your models. After registering your models, Django will create an admin interface for you. It's a really powerful tool, and it's built into Django. Then we have the apps.py. In here, you can place application-specific configurations. Then we have models.py. This is going to be a place to store your application's data models. And then we have test.py. This is where you can store your test functions to test your application code. And finally, we have views.py, which is where you can store the series of functions in order to handle requests and return responses. In top, there is a directory called migrations. This directory stores database-specific information as it relates to the models. Alright, now we should add the book app into the settings.py. So open up the settings.py inside the bookstore. If we scroll down, we will see a bunch of variables. The one we're looking for is called installed apps. You can see here that Django automatically adds its default applications such as administration, sessions, and etc. So let's add book app as a string, and don't forget to save it. The next step that we want to do is create a view. For the first view, we're gonna just send a hello world text as a response. So open up the views.py under the book app directory. As you know, in here you can store your functions. The first, we need to say from django.http import HTTP response, and then we're going to create the function def called index, and it's going to take in request, and it's going to return HTTP response. I'm gonna just pass a hello world text, so write hello world and save it. So let's discuss line by line what's happening here. Each view in Django is going to take in at least one argument, and since this argument is the HTTP request object, so we usually call this the request, and each view must return a HTTP response object. Now we should map this view to the urls.py. So open up the urls.py file. As you see in here, there is a URL pattern for admin. So I want to add one more in here. I say path. The first argument is the URL path as a string. So I say index, and don't forget to write a slash after the URL path. And the second argument is views.index. What we need to do is from book app import views, and then I say views.index, because index is into the views.py, and remember to put in a comma here, and don't forget to save it. So now we can run the server. What we need to do is say python manage.py run server, and copy this URL and paste it into the browser. Alright, everything worked correctly. As you see, this is a URL path that we mapped to the views.index. We created the simple Django application for the first time. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next session.